People are in Douluo, becoming Xueqinghe River, bound to the system. As long as you have children, you can become stronger. If it were in Qiandao city, wouldn't it be Gagaxiang? Take someone directly to find the lurking Qian Renxue. Bring back a row of 6-winged angel offspring, making Qiandao confused and suspicious of life. But the problem is, he's not here. People are outside the hunting forest. According to the original guide, in a few minutes at most, Qian Renxue will kill him and all the guards, and then replace him with Xueqinghe. What should we do? Xueqinghe expressed great panic. Ding, congratulations to the host for opening the beginner's gift pack and obtaining the martial soul. King Sword immortally by. Soul power has been upgraded to level 49 of the Strong Attack series Soul Master, holding 4 major 100,000-year soul rings. Stop, who's panicking? I am just too excited because I will soon encounter Qian Renxue. How could I not be trembling with excitement? Ding, congratulations to the host for having the first non-disabled martial soul offspring. Reward. Increase soul power level. Ding, congratulations to the host for having the first top-level martial soul offspring. Reward. Divine product technique. Diamond immortal skill. Ding, congratulations to the host for having the first divine martial soul offspring. Reward. Million-year soul ring. Zhu Xian sword formation. Kid, you dare to treat my granddaughter. When Qiandao rushed forward with a murderous aura and saw the row of little dots shining with 6-winged angels, he suddenly fell into confusion and gradually began to doubt life keywords of the novel. Man in Douluo, starting from the anti-killing of Qian Renxue without pop-ups, Man in Douluo, starting from the anti-killing of Qian Renxue. Download the complete text, Man in Douluo, starting from the anti-killing of Qian Renxue. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Countdown to life. Don't panic, first tie up a system to suppress the alarm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Countdown to life. Don't panic, first tie up a system to suppress the alarm. Your Highness, Your Highness. What's going on? Our carriage has arrived outside the hunting forest. Would it be convenient for you to come out? You can't park in the forest later. No need. By the way, you go out first, I'll be quiet for now. Yes, Your Highness. As the delicate face disappeared, the painful feeling in Xueqinghe's mind also disappeared. He rubbed his temples and read the memories in his mind. I'm completely confused. Am I, tearfully mentioning the 15-minute experience card for the Grand Prince? No, I just stayed up all night picking stars. How did I cross the time? Or did I dress up like such a urged prince, afraid of experiencing a card-like experience? Xueqinghe felt like crying without tears. How could he be so unlucky to cross directly into the Xueqinghe River, which is about to be killed by Qian Renxue? A few hours earlier would be great. Unfortunately, wearing it here is almost at the brink of death. Why don't I find a piece of tofu to crash into now? Maybe I can catch the next bus that crosses the border. Xueqinghe River fell into contemplation. Congratulations to the host for successfully binding to the full family system. The beginner gift package has been distributed. System rule. When a woman who meets the system conditions takes concubines and has children as the host, the system will automatically issue rewards. The sudden sound startled Xueqinghe and he said, System. A system full of descendants. Big brother, take a look at what situation I'm in. Is it okay to give the system a boost? My horse riding people are getting cold. You told me how lucky you are to have more children. Is it you Bing? Deep. Fried round and flat dough. Cake. Host can open the beginner gift pack. Xueqinghe was taken aback and then said, Open the beginner's gift pack. Ding, congratulations to the host for opening the beginner gift pack and obtaining the martial soul. King Sword immortally by, comes with 4 100,000-year soul rings, which cannot be implanted into soul rings by hunting soul beasts. Immediately afterwards, Xueqinghe only felt a stream of heat pouring into his limbs and bones, and there was a tingling sensation on his left hand that seemed to be electrocuted. It's a new martial soul. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a new martial soul. The host's soul power has been upgraded to level 50 of the Strong Attack Series Soul Master, without the 5th soul ring, holding 4 major 100,000-year soul rings. The sudden fullness of the body, as if it were a shocking sensation with a punch, immediately made Xueqinghe overjoyed. Nice. Now, his head is no longer painful, his waist is no longer sore, and his feet are no longer numb. Not bad, not bad. At the beginning, I took a concubine named Qian Renxue. If we give birth to a bunch of offspring of divine-level martial souls, wouldn't we just take off in place? The more Xueqinghe thought about it, the greater the smile on his face. It's a dream for others to become the emperor's harem, but maybe it's true. Coincidentally, he is the eldest prince of the Qiandao Empire, the future crown prince, and the future emperor. Isn't it reasonable to have 3,000 harems? At this moment, outside the carriage, the maid Xiaoxue, who had previously left, calmly scanned around a few times. After confirming that there were only these guards by her side, she didn't hesitate and decisively took action. Angel assault. In an instant, 2 golden fists shone out, and in just a moment, they killed the 2 unsuspecting soul master guards around Xueqinghe River. Protect your highness. The remaining guards immediately reacted and revealed their soul rings. But it's too late. It's too late. Qian Renxue sneered coldly. As early as the moment she killed 2 close guards, her second soul ring lit up and scattered starlight onto her body. At this moment, she seemed like a fairy tale goddess, her figure suddenly became illusory, and she quickly crossed over to reach the many remaining guards. Pushi. In front of her powerful attack-type soul warrior, these guards, who were no higher than the great soul master, were simply vulnerable to a single blow, and no one could withstand her assault. Your Highness, it's your turn. After dealing with all the cannon fodder, Qian Renshue's gaze fell on the carriage, with a cold smile on her lips and a proud thought in her heart. Grandpa, this is just a heavenly Dou empire. Why do you need to send other offerings to Grandpa? And that woman. As long as I succeed in usurping the throne and taking Qiandao with my own strength, then you will recognize my daughter and definitely compensate me for what I haven't given in so many years. So, Qian Renshue's lurking plan was made by Bibi Dong, who urged her to come over. Although Qiandao refused, she couldn't resist her stubbornness and could only agree in the end. During the first 3 years of her lurking, she was very successful. By chance, she went back to protest with Bibi Dong, but was left speechless with a sneer from Bibi Dong. Are you sure that your success was not achieved by 1,000 deaths, but by yourself? This time, Qian Renxue realized that her grandfather Qiandao was really worried about her, so he sent Qian Jun to subdue the demon and protect her, but it also made Bibi Dong look down on her. Therefore, Qian Renxue immediately fell out with Qiandao. At a glance, Qiandao, who had grown old and refined, saw through Bibi Dong's desire for Qian Renxue to die, preferably in Qiandao City. However, when he saw his granddaughter's obsession and unwillingness to understand his troubles and instead falling out with him, Qiandao felt a bit angry. When he saw that the 3 years of lurking ahead were very smooth, he withdrew the person and let Qian Renxue complete the task alone. Although he was a bit angry with his granddaughter, he also felt a bit uneasy. He asked Qian Renxue to absorb a life-saving angel soul bone in advance at the angel temple and send letters every once in a while to express his safety. Qian Renxue also fully agreed to this. Not to mention, in the next 2 years of lurking, Qian Renshue's learning attitude also impressed Bibi Dong and made Qiandao feel at ease to let his granddaughter go alone. If this ambush plan was really completed by Qian Renxue alone, then her reputation in the martial soul hall could definitely surpass Bibidong in one fell swoop, and even snatch back the papal position directly from Bibidong's hands is not a problem. Qian Renxue had no idea about the palace battles inside the martial soul palace. She only knew that her undercover plan had reached the most critical point now. Kill Xueqinghe. She can disguise herself as Xueqinghe and go find the Spider Emperor's poison from Bibidong to kill other princes. With such thoughts in mind, Qian Renxue couldn't help but feel a little excited. As she walked towards the carriage, a smile couldn't help but appear on her face. Xueqinghe, say goodbye to this world. To avoid long dreams at night or the fluctuation of soul power in this area attracting the attention of others. Qian Renxue didn't waste any more time. After putting away her thoughts, she immediately activated her martial soul and released her soul skills towards the lonely and large carriage, ready to kill with one strike. Goodbye, Your Highness the Crown Prince. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. How about we make a bet and see if you have anything to do? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. How about we make a bet and see if you have anything to do? Qian Renxue turned around with a cold and stern expression on her face, looking back at the carriage covered by curtains, and a cold smile curved around her lips. She had no intention of pulling back the curtain, but rather releasing her soul skills directly. Goodbye, Your Highness the Crown Prince. Words fall behind. Among the 3 soul rings behind her, the purple one shone brightly and ascended to the sky. At this moment, the whole person was bathed in divine light, like a meteor chasing the moon, rushing straight towards the carriage. Watching the carriage about to be smashed and destroyed. Suddenly, during the sprint, Qian Renxue saw a cold light flash in front of her. Almost in an instant, the second soul ring behind her shone, and her whole body became illusory. The cold light also fell fiercely on her. Puff. Qian Renxue felt as if she had been swept away by a motorcycle, slamming heavily into a towering tree. With a whoosh, blood spurted out, her breath withered, but it was hard to conceal the disbelief and shock on her face. How could that be? Having been in the palace for 5 years, she believed she had already recognized the eldest prince of the Heavenly Dou Empire. He was just a level 15 soul master, and in the eyes of her level 39 soul master, he was similar to an ant. There's nothing to be afraid of. The reason why she has been dragging on for so long is to imitate the behavior habits of Xueqinghe, otherwise, how could she have kept him for so long? But now, reality gave her a harsh slap in the face, making her numb at this moment. That move just now is definitely not something that a small soul master can unleash, at least it's all from the soul sect. It is highly likely to be a Millennium Soul Ring. You know. She is actually a level 39 strong attack type soul warrior. Only stronger soul masters can directly break through her third soul skill, and use stronger soul skills. Are you surprised or not? Xueqinghe walked out of the carriage and jokingly looked at Qian Renxue, who was holding her chest with one hand and supporting her on the ground with the other. Her pale face turned pale. Are you surprised? Is it stimulating to prick? Under the repeated questioning of the soul, Qian Renshue's face immediately turned red with anger. She raised her hand and pointed trembling fingers at the Xueqinghe River, struggling to utter 3 words, "You are deceiving me." She never expected that her carefully prepared assassination for 2 years would be exposed like a child's play. What should I do with you now? Xueqinghe didn't take it seriously, carrying his hands on his back and jokingly smiling, slowly walking towards the seemingly powerless Qian Renxue, as if without any defense. Good time. Seeing this, Qian Renshue's mouth curled, and her arm, which was covering her chest, suddenly shed its sheath with a piercing light, fiercely stabbing toward Xueqinghe's brain melon seed. But the next moment, the Xueqinghe River in her field of vision suddenly disappeared, as if in a blink of an eye, inexplicably disappearing from her eyes. Her attack also fell through at this moment. What? Qian Renxue suddenly shook and widened his eyes. This Xueqinghe river actually knows that she pretended to be injured. How could it be? The next moment, a playful murmur suddenly sounded in her ear. You seem a bit dishonest. Now, it's my turn to take action. Seeing here, Qian Renshue's face changed greatly. Just as he was about to take action, his body froze in place like it had been struck by lightning. In his eyes, everything was unbelievable, and the shock seemed to overflow from his eyes. This 100,000-year soul ring. 4. In front of her eyes. With one hand on his back, Xueqinghe lifted 4 blood-red soul rings one by one under his feet. The last soul ring suddenly released a 10,000 zhang blood light, illuminating this vast area. This is impossible. Qian Renxue is unbelievable. But the next moment, a suffocating feeling of death suddenly surged out, causing her to suddenly awaken and recover. Not good. In an instant, a dense sword energy surged out from the sky, like a web of heaven and earth, crazily attacking the center point of the sword energy with 1,000 snows. Swish, swish. Almost in the blink of an eye, Qian Renxue froze in place in an instant, her clothes shattering in an instant, and terrifying wounds gushed out from her body. She couldn't bear it anymore, and with a whoosh, she spewed out a mouthful of blood. Her body couldn't hold on anymore, and she half knelt on the ground, her face extremely pale. It is the new martial soul of Xueqinghe River, the 4th soul skill of the King's Sword immortally by, the Qinglian Sword Song. Sword falls. The blood-red light disappeared, and Xueqinghe, with his hands on his back, looked towards Qian Renxue, who was half kneeling on the ground and covered in blood. He was slightly surprised and murmured in his heart, I am truly a soul master carrying angel soul bones. This has not killed you. Qian Renxue was able to disguise herself as Xueqinghe River for 20 years without being detected, all thanks to the angelic soul bones on her body. According to the description and record of the original work, Xueqinghe remembers that the last piece of the angel soul bone must reach a level of 100 to become a god before it can be fused. Except for this limitation, any soul master who possesses the 6-winged angel soul can merge 5 angel soul bones from any part. According to Xueqinghe's estimation, this Qian Renxue has fused at least 3 soul bones. The first angel soul bone was fused at the age of 9, set at 14, otherwise Qiandao would not have been able to confidently let her go to the heavenly Dou Empire alone. And only this soul bone soul skill that can enter the realm of gods can stop him from being killed by the Qinglian sword song. Otherwise, Qian Renxue would have been shattered by Qinglian Jianghe long ago. Your soul bone's defense skill has saved your life. Let go of me, give you the soul and soul bones. Upon hearing this, Qian Renxue thought that Xueqinghe wanted soul bones, and immediately spoke up. Everyone in the martial soul hall believed that the heavenly Dou Empire was not to be feared, including her grandfather Qiandao. That's why she was sent to carry out such a gentle mission, but she didn't want to risk the world. I never expected it. The eldest prince of the Dou Empire is actually a twin martial soul. And still a twin martial soul with 4 100,000-year soul rings. This guy is hiding too deep. But I don't want soul bones. Xueqinghe squatted down, pinched and lifted Qian Renshue's chin, wiped away the blood on her face, and playfully said, Do you think I should leave you here, wait for someone to save you, or warm up my bed as a concubine? Don't worry, your injury is within my expectations, and with the slight self-healing ability of your soul bone, you won't be able to die within 3 days. Do you want to bet on whether your companions will pass by and save you within these 3 days? As he spoke, Xueqinghe leaned forward a bit and said, Or, if you see the color and start acting like a female assistant in the brothel, and then treat your injuries before selling them to the brothel. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. A group of 6-winged angels, little dots, seen by Qiandao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. A group of 6 winged angels, little dots, seen silent by Qiandao Lu. Qian Renxue suddenly gave a wake-up call. She spent her time carefree inside the martial soul hall. And during his time in the palace, he naturally stayed by the side of Xueqinghe River and did not experience any other warmth or danger. Therefore, for certain things, she only heard about them midway, such as knowing what a brothel is, and never realized the dangers of the world. In this unarmed situation, she was really a bit scared by the snow-clear river. Of course, the most important thing is that what Xueqinghe said seems to be true. With her level of injury, it's just fish and meat on a sticky board. Even an ordinary person who's not a soul master can capture her. Based on her 5 years of understanding of Xueqinghe River, she concluded that it was impossible for Xueqinghe River to take advantage of the current situation. I will definitely welcome her back to the palace. Then, the highest wedding etiquette among the Qiandao royal family was arranged for her, including various rituals such as the 8 lifting bridges. Only after the actual wedding ceremony will she be touched. So, she still has a chance. She can still continue this undercover plan. She only needs to kill this Xueqinghe River at the right time and then complete her replacement plan. Qian Renxue didn't know that the Xueqinghe River in front of him was not the same as before. Are you really willing to be my concubine? Xueqinghe playfully picked up Qian Renxue's chin, with a smirk on his face that made Qian Renxue's heart skip a beat, feeling a bit uneasy. It seems that the former prince wouldn't have shown such an expression, would he? I am willing to. A thought flashed through Qian Renxue's mind, and she had already swallowed these 3 words in her mouth. Just before she could finish speaking about the conditions she wanted to add later on regarding the strategy of delaying troops, her voice suddenly came to an end. Her eyes widened and she looked incredulously at the snow-clear river in front of her. It's like getting to know Xueqinghe River for the first time. She never expected that this gentle and elegant eldest prince would behave like this. Is it because Xueqinghe saw through her plan? Do you know that she will definitely use a slow strategy and replace him? The mouth that finally had the opportunity to open was sealed before it could murmur a few times, leaving only a belly full of grievances and melancholy, swirling with the murmurs in its heart. Grandpa, help me. Woo-woo. With so many angel soul bones in her arms, she confidently entered the Qiandao palace with a single sword and planned to become the maid of Xueqinghe to replace her. I thought it was foolproof, even if it was discovered, it was just a fish dying and a net broken. But she couldn't even calculate that Xueqinghe, who had known her for so many years, was such a person. She also missed out on her own ending. No. It's because she ignored the fact that she was already considered a marriageable woman in the Douluo world and became a delicate little beauty. At the beginning, I will take a concubine named Qian Renxue. I want to bring a football team's 6 winged angels to the temple to worship and see Qiandao Lu. At the same time, far away in the martial soul city, offering hall. As one of the strongest in the mainland, Qiandao seemed to be sensing something. He suddenly opened his eyes and a cold light flashed through it. Immediately, confusion appeared in his eyes, and he murmured, "What's going on?" Just now. Suddenly, his eyelids twitched and his heart beat faster, as if something bad had happened. But he has been in the Temple of Angels and has never gone out, has he? And the Martial Soul Hall has also been handed over to Bibidong for management, where could there be anything wrong? Is it thinking of a certain place in his heart? Qiandao Lu's gaze couldn't help but look towards the direction of Qiandao City. Did Xiaoxue be discovered? As soon as the thought in his heart rose, he immediately extinguished it and shook his head, murmuring, "Impossible. Xiaoxue has angel soul bones on her body, and my martial soul hall has not sent anyone to hide. Even if it is a title Douluo, it is impossible to see any clues. This matter is strictly confidential and there is no possibility of leakage." Qiandao Lu suddenly fell into contemplation. As of now, only Qiandao Liu and Bibidong, as well as several super Douluo worshipped in the temple, know about Qian Renxue's mission. It concerns the entire martial soul hall, and Bibi Dong cannot possibly leak this information. He also has those super Douluo worshippers who have been staying in the temple and have never left, so there is no possibility of leakage. So. Suddenly my eyelids twitched. What's going on? It should be that Xueqinghe encountered difficulties. 1,000 streams murmured. Big offering, shouldn't it be that the young master had an accident in Qiandao city? On the side, after hearing the murmurs of Qiandao, the golden crocodile Douluo, who was sitting in practice, stopped practicing and slowly opened his eyes before asking. How about I go there? On one side, Qianjun Douluo, who was sitting cross-legged, slowly opened his mouth with a heavy voice and looked at Qiandao. If anyone really shows disrespect to the young master, I will defeat the demon and slaughter him all over the door. The other 4 offerings of cultivation also slowed down at this moment, seemingly waiting for 1,000 streams to speak. As one of the strongest super Douluo on the Douluo continent today, Qianjun Douluo really has the confidence to say this. After a long silence, Qiandao shook his head and said, "How can you stand alone without experiencing difficulties? We're old and haven't had much time left. Xueqinghe must overcome the difficulties on her own." He had long cultivated Qian Renxue as an heir to the angel god, otherwise how could he have let Qian Renxue lurk to the heavenly Do Empire to carry out such a mission? Several worshippers looked at each other, and among them, the golden crocodile Douluo nodded slightly. The innate level 20 soul power is the only one in the history of my martial soul hall. I believe the young master must have his own way. Qiandao smiled and touched his beard. That's why she needs more training. A genius who hasn't grown up is ultimately just an ordinary person. How can one become a genius without experiencing a little wind and rain? With these words spoken, many worshippers also nodded in agreement. Their ability to become titled Douluo is not a flower in the greenhouse, but a result of countless lives and deaths. I need to stay in seclusion for a while. You can take care of Xueqinghe's matter for now. While feeling relieved in Qiandao's heart, he also announced his own news. He never imagined that his beloved granddaughter would really encounter difficulties in life. I couldn't even think of killing him. The next time I see his beloved granddaughter again, it may be a big one, plus n small ones, coming to see him together. End of this chapter. Chapter 4 discusses the relationship between forbearance and self-interest, which is still very beneficial. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 on the relationship between perseverance and profit. There is still a lot of room for improvement. I can only endure 1,000 steps of snow. Despicable, shameless. You're still the eldest prince. Surprisingly, taking advantage of someone's danger to do such a despicable and shameless thing. Xueqinghe didn't take it seriously. You can't say that. You just promised to be my prince's concubine with your own mouth. This Qian Renxue has promised to be his concubine. Isn't it reasonable for him to perform the rites of Duke Zhou now? As he spoke, a smile curled up at the corner of his mouth and he pinched Qian Renxue's face. The latter's face turned red and he patted open his palm, only to hear Xueqinghe's whispering in his ear, "It's very moist." Qian Renxue's face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye, and her eyes seemed to be about to set fire. "It's obscene. You shameless bastard." At this moment, she wished she could cut the snow-clear river with countless knives and drink its blood to dispel the hatred in her heart. I mean, your face is very smooth and your skin is very smooth. Where did you think of? Xueqinghe looked at her inexplicably and shrugged his shoulders. Do you think anyone is like you? Qian Renxue snorted and didn't turn her head, but she breathed a slight sigh of relief in her heart. But fortunately, Xueqinghe has limited knowledge and doesn't even recognize my martial soul, nor does he see my identity from it. When she just launched a surprise attack to kill those guards, she released her martial soul, including when she attacked Xueqinghe. But Xueqinghe, as if he didn't recognize her martial soul, remained silent. Thinking of this, Qian Renxue frowned and said, however. How did Xueqinghe manage to give his second martial soul 4 100,000-year soul rings? She felt that if she continued to stay by the side of Xueqinghe River in this relationship, then the secret of Xueqinghe River would eventually be known to her too. If she were to master the secret of absorbing 100,000-year soul rings, anyway, now that there's no innocence left, why don't we use this as a way to give this snowy river some peace of mind and try our best to extract the secret of obtaining a 100,000-year soul ring? Thinking of this, Qian Renxue looked at the Xueqinghe River, and the light in his eyes became increasingly bright. At this age, Qian Renxue still doesn't have the personality of being reckless for profit as in the later stages of the original work. But the three personalities of patience, decisiveness, and stability have already begun to take shape. In order to know the secret of how Xueqinghe obtained the 100,000-year soul ring, she endured it without worrying too much about gains and losses, and decisively used the most secure method. What kind of bad calculation are you doing? Your eyes are so wide open. Suddenly, the words that rang in his ear startled Qian Renxue. She gave Xueqinghe a fierce glare and said angrily, Your Highness, you almost scared me to death by suddenly speaking up. Did you take the wrong medicine for this 1,000-foot snow? Why did she speak in the same tone as the maid she disguised before? What about your indomitable determination just now? Xueqinghe looked at her suspiciously, pinched her face, and surprisingly didn't resist. Thinking of this, Xueqinghe's hands slid down. Your Highness, I have just become obsessed. Qian Renxue looked pitifully at Xueqinghe and said, I shouldn't have done anything to your Highness. Her mouth was pitiful, but her heart was constantly cursing at Xueqinghe River. Stinky thug. When I reveal your secret, the first one will cut you to pieces, chop you off, and feed the dog. And you damn paw. I must chop off your paws and feed them to the dog. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Me, Xueqinghe, Online Huyou Snowy Night Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Me, Xueqinghe, Online Huyou Snowy Night Emperor. Can't it be that I hit you too hard just now and turned you into a villain? Xueqinghe felt a little embarrassed. At the beginning, he attacked her with a 100,000-year soul ring. Isn't it really too heavy? But the probability of this outfit is still higher. Xueqinghe glanced at the 1,000-foot snow, but did not pursue it. She knew in her heart that she must be trying to explore the secret of her 100,000-year soul ring. Want to know my secret? At least we need to have a football team, maybe we'll just know a little bit about the spiciness. Xueqinghe said with a smile of a different kind on his face. For some reason, Qian Renxue on one side suddenly hit a cold cicada inexplicably, shrinking her body the next moment. Xueqinghe threw his coat to her and said, Put it on, don't leave all of it. Yes, Your Highness. Upon hearing these words, Qian Renxue breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, and his eyes also shone with confidence. I will definitely figure out how the twin martial souls of Xueqinghe and his 4 100,000-year soul rings came about. What? Qinghe, you figured it out. Qiandao Empire, Imperial Palace. The Snow Knight Emperor was so excited that his face turned red. He suddenly stood up, as if dreaming. Qinghe, you really want to be the crown prince? In the original work, when Xueqinghe was only a few years old, not yet replaced, the Snow Knight Emperor wanted to appoint him as the crown prince, but unfortunately, the original body did not agree at all. Qian Renxue, who turned into a maid, tried several times but failed to persuade her. She was also afraid that the Snow Knight Emperor would change his mind and appointed other princes as crown princes, so she directly took over. Just like now. The Snowy Knight Emperor almost turned pale because of this matter. Since ancient times, the throne has been established as long as young. If he were to change the title of other princes, the obstacles would definitely be unprecedented. Maybe it will really cause big problems for the Qiandao Empire. He never expected it. After suddenly going out and playing around, he decided to become the crown prince. Father, I can be the crown prince. Speaking, Xueqinghe extended a finger and said, but I have one condition. Okay, I promise you. The Snow Knight Emperor laughed heartily and said, don't say it's just one condition, even if it's 100 conditions, I promise you. He is not afraid of Xueqinghe River raising conditions, but he is afraid that the latter will not be the crown prince. Speak up, what do you want? I want to take a concubine. The Snow Knight Emperor, Wait, what are you saying? Xueqinghe said solemnly, Father, look at our family. There are only 7 people in total, including me, my second younger brother, my third younger brother, my fourth younger brother, my fifth younger sister, and you and my mother. Besides, there are only Emperor Uncle and his descendants left. Take a look at the Stara royal family next door. They have a family full of descendants, and there are countless holy soul Douluo in the royal family. They even have their own title Douluo, which is very terrifying. If it weren't for the Martial Soul Hall's watchful eyes, it would probably be that their Dai family would have launched a war against our heavenly Do. Under this deception, the Snow Knight Emperor really listened and his whole body immediately fell into contemplation. In the palace, as the Snow Knight Emperor pondered, he fell into silence. This cheap dad seems a bit tricky to deceive. Xueqinghe secretly thought in his heart. Just as he felt that his deception was not enough, he was ready to find another way to continue his deception. Pop it. The Snow Knight Emperor suddenly slapped the table with a loud voice and sudden movements, but it startled the snow-clear river. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The Snowy Knight Emperor was deceived and crippled, embarking on the road to strength. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The Snowy Knight Emperor was deceived and crippled, embarking on the road to strength. Qinghe, you're right. Our royal population needs fresh blood injection. Damn it, the Dai family relies on having many people. Our Xue family also has more offspring, and there will always be talented individuals. The sudden sound startled Xueqinghe River. After listening to the words of the Snow Knight Emperor, he finally smiled and said, Father is wise. I have reached the marriageable age now, and I can let go of anything like getting married, but taking a concubine doesn't affect me, does it? The Snow Knight Emperor directly agreed, don't worry, Qinghe. I'll arrange it now. You go back to the college to attend classes and learn the etiquette of the crown prince. Once everything is done, I will notify you. After hearing the words of the Snow Knight Emperor, Xueqinghe was immediately overjoyed. Unexpectedly, his deception really made the Snow Knight Emperor limp. With this cheap dad's intervention, the efficiency is definitely impressive. Xueqinghe was overjoyed, and that evening he happily went to find Qian Renxue to play poker and test the plane. Early the next morning, Xueqinghe was appointed as the crown prince, and the Grand Prince's mansion was changed to the Crown Prince's mansion, beginning to handle some political affairs. It is obvious that the Snow Knight Emperor wanted to work together, allowing the royal family to spread their branches and leaves while also wanting Xueqinghe to learn how to handle political affairs. Even for this, he personally ordered someone to build a table and transport it to the Crown Prince's mansion to show vigilance. But where did he expect it? This desk not only plays its original role, but also has another function on this basis. This bastard. Qian Renxue lay weakly on the desk, glancing at Xueqinghe, who was lying on the big bed after putting on his pants and sleeping soundly. He couldn't help but feel angry and wished he could kill him now to vent his anger. But I can't. Firstly, the Crown Prince's mansion is guarded by Soul Douluo. Secondly, she hasn't managed to extract that secret from this bastard's mouth yet. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but look towards her side, the memorial that almost buried her head in it, with a burst of desire to cry without tears. There are so many petitions of chicken skin and garlic feathers. After this bastard finishes, he just goes to sleep and doesn't care. With so many memorials, she had to drag her tired body to approve, and day after day, she didn't have time to practice. It's really despicable. After I reveal your secret, not only will I cut you to pieces, but I will also chop your flesh and blood into minced meat before throwing them out to feed the dog. Qian Renxue kept cursing in her heart, as if only in this way could she breathe a sigh. 10 days later. Xueqinghe finally received a notice from the Snow Knight Emperor to come to the banquet hall of the palace. These are some. Almost everyone's gaze fell on him. I have seen His Highness the Crown Prince. Your Highness the Crown Prince is so handsome. After hearing many words from that flower-obsessed girl, Xueqinghe smiled proudly and said, these girls have a pretty good eye for paper, they can actually see their handsomeness and handsomeness. That's not it. Besides the vast readership, who else can be more handsome than me? With the arrival and seating of Xueqinghe, this banquet also officially began. After 3 rounds of drinking, the Snow Knight Emperor retreated, leaving behind a sole Douluo level Imperial Guard to guard the battlefield. Chao Min Bai Wu has met His Highness the Crown Prince, Your Highness, be safe. At this moment, a middle-aged man in gorgeous clothing walked over with a woman, bowed slightly, and respectfully said, free of charge. Xueqinghe glanced at the middle-aged man who claimed to be Bai Wu and was somewhat familiar with him. He remembered that he seemed to be the richest man in a small kingdom, and because he paid tribute to the palace all year round, he had some eye contact. Your Highness, this is my parents' daughter, named Qiandao. Although her martial soul is just an auxiliary type of Qianzhai, her appearance and personality are very gentle, definitely meeting your requirements, Your Highness. The daughter of the people has seen His Highness the Crown Prince. Qiandao saw the gaze of Xueqinghe and immediately lowered her head with shyness, bowing. Free gift. Xueqinghe nodded slightly and smiled, not bad. As if seeing the satisfied expression on Xueqinghe's face, Bai Wu breathed a sigh of relief and quickly said, Your Highness, although the daughter of the grass people has a weak martial soul, she has an excellent personality. Your Highness, this Qiandao is also with you. They have all studied in the Palace Academy and will not disappoint Your Highness. Before Bai Wu could finish speaking, he was interrupted by a sudden female voice. Follow the sound. I saw a palace-dressed woman walking steadily, every move exuding a feeling of elegance. Compared to her, Qiandao, who could also be considered a noblewoman, seemed like an ugly duckling. Teacher. Seeing someone interrupt, Bai Wu didn't dare to say anything, but Qiandao obediently shouted out. Teacher. Xueqinghe's eyebrows relaxed. If not expected, the woman in front of him should be Tang Yuehua, who comes from Haotian's sect and is the younger sister of Tang Ritian, right? She seems to be a top-level Haotian hammer martial soul. I wonder if she can inherit her Haotian hammer if she gives me a baby. Judging from the system's rewards, the higher the quality of the children's martial souls, the more generous the rewards will be. Of course, the rewards will also be reduced for the children. Consider this a small goal. The thought flashed through Xueqinghe's heart, and he smiled and greeted Tang Yuehua. Tang Yuehua is still just a well-known teacher in the Palace Academy, and has not yet become the dean of the Palace Academy and established the Moon Pavilion, as in the original work. Think of it here. Xueqinghe no longer hesitated and smiled at Qiandao. I am willing to take you as my concubine. Would you be willing to do so? The Snow Knight Emperor did not invite some truly ranked nobles, such as the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex or the Seven Treasures Glass Sect. Because these nobles would not let their own daughters become concubines for the crown prince. Therefore, he only invited some nobles who caught his eye, and the subsequent female portraits were personally reviewed by Empress Xian. Those with inappropriate appearances were all returned. I am willing to. Qiandao blushed and pinched the corner of her clothes, whispering in a low voice she was already the age to get married. Originally, she was going to be married to another kingdom by her father, but she didn't expect the crown prince to find a concubine. After comparing the portraits of the crown prince and the noblemen of another kingdom, she didn't even think about it and chose to become a concubine for the crown prince. This looks so handsome. Congratulations to His Highness the Crown Prince. Upon seeing this, many nobles who had paid attention to it also expressed their congratulations. 5 days later. After the grand concubine-taking ceremony, Xueqinghe successfully married by Qiandao into the crown prince's mansion and conferred the title of Liangdi, only below the crown princess. As for Qian Renxue, this slightly rebellious little girl, Xueqinghe said that he can't beat Bibi Dong and Qiandao for the time being, so he will let her be a maid for the time being. If he really wants to marry her, Qiandao probably won't be able to sit still. 10 days after taking a concubine. Ding, congratulations to the host, happy wives and concubines. Xueqinghe suddenly asked in confusion, what about the system and rewards? In case of some host card bugs, system rewards will be automatically issued after the birth and descent of the host's offspring. Please make sure to protect the offspring from miscarriage. Xueqinghe was stunned for a moment. Can this still get stuck with a bug? How to get stuck? Now, the system is silent. Xueqinghe didn't expect the system to say anything, so he immediately told Bai Qiandao beside him. Your Highness, are you pleased with me? Bai Qiandao looked at Xueqinghe with a surprised expression on her face, hugging the latter's arm with a happy expression on her face. Your Highness, I am delighted that I cannot serve you anymore. Please bring in a few more concubines to serve your Highness. Only the fantasy world can have such a considerate woman, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Finally having children. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Finally having children. Congratulations to your Majesty, congratulations to the Crown Prince. Madame Liangdi, professional title, is indeed delighted. Inside the Qiandao Palace. After surveying Bai Qiandao with his soul technique, the imperial physician immediately withdrew and clasped his fists to congratulate the 3 people on the high platform. Ha, good. The Snow Knight Emperor was overjoyed and waved his hand, go down and receive the reward. Your Majesty, thank you. After waving the imperial physician's hand, the Snow Knight Emperor's face immediately turned red with excitement and warned, Qiandao, you will be staying at the Crown Prince's mansion for this period of time. I will let the group of palace maids who previously served the Empress serve you, and I will definitely rest assured. My dear son, thank you very much, father. I am grateful to my father. Set that only the Crown Princess and Empress can claim to be concubines in front of the Emperor. As soon as she finished speaking, Bai Qiandao heard her say, Father, I am delighted and cannot serve your Highness. I hope Father can once again select a concubine for your Highness. I hope to accommodate more this time. The Snow Knight Emperor was somewhat surprised. What did Qiandao say to her? Surprisingly so sensible. After a moment of confusion, the Snow Knight Emperor finally regained his senses, nodded slowly, and said, okay, I'll arrange it now. Those who want to enter the imperial palace and become the concubines of the crown prince are usually ordinary nobles, or some small billionaires, moderate soul master families, and so on. Like the 3 sects above, the 4 sects below, or the descendants of larger soul master families, they will not come. Therefore, for banquets like talent shows, as soon as the Snow Knight Emperor convenes, there are countless nobles vying for ideas. Among them, the middle and lower class nobles are the most prominent, which can be described without counting their numbers. So, the second banquet has begun. Your Highness, this is my daughter, Xiaoye. Her martial soul is Black Shadow, currently 22 years old. She is the sole lord of the third ring. She has admired you for a long time, Your Highness. Your Highness, this is my granddaughter. Hey Your Highness, don't leave yet. And this is my sister. In law. Faced with many beautiful women. Xueqinghe, holding a wine glass, smiled and nodded. As long as it met the system conditions, he refused and accepted it all as a concubine. Reward rule. The quality of the reward is related to the martial soul of the offspring. The system recommends that the host choose high quality, do not set minimum requirements, and allow concubines of ordinary people without martial souls. System, everyone knows Sima Zhao's inner path. At this timeline, do you want me to go find Huyou Douluo, Zg, or Bai Ji, Xiao Bai, and Gu Yuna? Or is it to go find the newly fallen blue-silver Emperor Ian, and Bibi Dong, who has just ascended to the martial soul hall Pope? Except for Ian, who is not in human form, the least of these are the strength of the title Douluo. Am I running over to seek death? Xueqinghe cursed and chattered, dog system, get lost. Okay. Xueqinghe, Your Highness. A weak sound suddenly pulled Xueqinghe back to reality. He looked up and saw Xiaoye sitting on the wedding bed with a red head, her hands clasped together in a somewhat restless state. He was afraid that she might have done something wrong, which was why Xueqinghe didn't lift the hood for a long time. It's okay, I'm here. Xueqinghe lifted his head and kissed him. Your Highness, I haven't drunk the toast yet. What's the rush? It's the same for drinking tomorrow. Let's get down to business first. For a whole month, Qiandao city was filled with banquets, and countless people were celebrating, shouting, Your Highness the Crown Prince is 1,000 years old, Your Highness the Crown Prince is wise. Enough can be said to be full of food and wine, even during the Chinese New Year, the people may not have so many big meals to eat. 1 year later. Wow! Bai Qiandao, who was the first to conceive, was holding her child and lying weakly in bed, looking at the Xueqinghe River. She forced a smile and said, Your Highness, I'm sorry, I have a daughter. Since ancient times, imperial power has been inherited by the eldest son, just like the current Qiandao Empire will have Crown Prince Xueqinghe inherit the throne, while the other princes have no chance. Xueqinghe's fifth sister Xueqinghe has no possibility of inheriting the throne. Although she is only a concubine in name, she is currently the largest concubine, second only to the crown princess. If there is an eldest son, even if it is not to inherit the crown prince, the worst would be a prince. Of course, what she valued was not this, but rather the fear that Xueqinghe would detest her for giving birth to a daughter. It's okay, my daughter is also good, she's a little cotton jacket. Xueqinghe gently grasped her hand, while the other hand caressed her face. It's not necessary to have a son, as long as it's ours, that's all. At this moment, the long-lost system prompt sound finally rang in his mind. Ding, congratulations to the host for having the first non-disabled martial soul descendant, and receiving system rewards. The host's soul power has been increased by 10 levels, and the soul power has been increased by 10 item cards. Ding dong, congratulations on reaching level 60 of the host's soul power. However, since none of the host's martial souls have obtained the fifth soul ring, they are unable to increase their soul power. The soul power enhancement reward will be issued after the host obtains the soul ring. Soul power enhancement item card. Can be used to enhance soul power. The upgraded soul power level will not exceed level 55, and can repair all weakness or injuries, including hidden diseases, on the soul master's body at the moment of use, and have a certain chance to evolve the martial soul. This. Xueqinghe only then remembered that a year ago, he had been staying in the palace since he swept away Qian Renxue in the hunting forest. He had never hunted soul rings, so his current soul power has always been stuck at the limit of level 50 and cannot be broken through. There's no need to remove the soul ring. Taking a concubine with peace of mind is the right way. But this card. Holding her chin, Xueqinghe looked at the soul-boosting prop card issued by the system in her hand, and then looked at Bai Qiandao lying in bed, who had fallen asleep due to exhaustion, and immediately fell into contemplation. It seems that this card has other uses. It seems that there is a slight abnormality. Qiandao opened her research in a daze, as if she had noticed something. She suddenly woke up and widened her eyes. After seeing clearly that Xueqinghe was in front of her, she breathed a sigh of relief and coquettishly said, "Your Highness, I haven't fully recovered yet. Can you go find another sister in such a hurry?" She tried to move, but there was no longer the fatigue she had before. Instead, she was full of energy and full of strength. She felt that her soul power had also improved a lot. Can we say that this is breastfeeding after giving birth? But when my parents gave birth to me, they didn't hear them say that, did they? Is it difficult? Is it His Highness' unique secret recipe? Thinking of this, Qiandao suddenly became excited. She saw the hope of becoming the Soul Lord. Really? Then I'll go find Xiaoye and the others. Wait a minute, Your Highness, wait a minute. It's really hard for you to come and accompany me. Let me take care of you instead. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Having a son. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Having a son outside the delivery room. Xueqinghe walked back and forth nervously, but also had some anticipation. Today is his second concubine, the day Xiaoye gave birth. In terms of childbirth, the palace maids are also professional. It is said that the descendants of the Snow Knight Emperor were all delivered by this group of palace maids, and none of them died in the womb. However, despite this, Xueqinghe River is still a bit nervous. Until the system's prompt sound comes on. Ding, congratulations to the host for having the first abandoned martial soul descendant. Received a reward. Soul power increased by 1 level. Xueqinghe was slightly stunned and said, the first deposed martial soul descendant. His first heir was not a deposed martial soul, but how could this second heir be a deposed martial soul? System, what kind of martial soul is this? The system cannot detect, but according to the system's data exploration, the host also has an abandoned martial soul. Xueqinghe. Wait, I also have a useless martial soul. Is that Swan martial soul? So, can my Swan martial soul be considered a useless martial soul? Xueqinghe was taken aback for a moment, but then realized that when the original work Dui was written, there were not many members of the entire Qiandao royal family who had achieved success in cultivation. It seemed that they could really be called abandoned martial souls. Congratulations to your majesty, congratulations to your highness, Lady Yu has given birth to a dragon son. Just as Xueqinghe was stunned, several palace maids in the delivery room walked up to the Snow Knight Emperor with a child in their arms and respectfully said, "Reward, great reward." Upon hearing it was a man, both the Snow Knight Emperor and the Purple Cloud Empress were overjoyed. Among them, the Snow Knight Emperor waved his hand generously and shouted, 10 times the reward. The palace maids were overjoyed. I bow and thank your majesty. Go down. Yes. After finishing these words, the Snow Knight Emperor couldn't wait to go and hug the child, but he never expected to be held by Empress Xian first. Hurry up, let me see my grandson. Haha, this kid really looks like Qinghe when you were a child. Yeah, this forehead is just like when Qinghe was a child. Xueqinghe. Big brother, aren't these newly born babies all the same? Xueqinghe twitched at the corner of his mouth and glanced at the happy Empress Dowager. He didn't disturb her, but turned around and walked into the delivery room. He came to the weak Xiaoye's side, crouched down slightly, gently grasped her hand, and took a hot towel to wring hot water to wipe the sweat off her face. After finishing these, he finally spoke up and said, Xiaoye, you've worked hard. No, it's not hard. It's my duty as a concubine to have children for your highness. Feeling the gentle movements of Xueqinghe River, Xiaoye suddenly felt a warm current in her heart, and a smile appeared on her tired face. Seeing here. Xueqinghe also knew that she was very tired and said, You take a break first, thank you for your hard work. Yes, your highness. watching Xiaoye close her eyes and rest. Xueqinghe only raised his head and glanced through the window at the empty outside of the delivery room. The Snow Knight Emperor and Empress Xian have left the delivery room with the child in their arms and gone to the palace where the prince is specially raised. Think of it here. Xueqinghe immediately withdrew his gaze and took a final look. After confirming that there were no more than 3 people in the entire delivery room, he silently took out a soul-boosting prop card and gave it to Huyou to use. At the same time, I silently recited in my heart. The most important function of this enhancement item card is still this. In an instant. Lying on the bed, Xiaoye felt her exhaustion swept away, and even at this moment, she felt her whole body filled with strength. It's an increase in soul power. At the age of 18, Xueqinghe has been at level 21 for 3 years, and since she is a daughter, she is not valued, so it is impossible for her resources to be tilted. Therefore, she cannot improve at all. So, she was also allowed to become the concubine of Xueqinghe. Just now Xiaoye carefully sensed the soul power inside her body and was immediately stunned. I'm at level 29. I have given birth to a child, why did I even upgrade my soul power to level 8? Xiaoye was stunned. She widened her eyes and wrote in confusion. She looked at the snow-clear river in front of her, only to find that she still couldn't see through the latter's soul power. Suddenly, a thought surged in her heart, is it possible to give birth to the crown prince and regain his soul power? Thinking of this, a glimmer of light appeared in her eyes. So, does she still have a chance to become the Soul Lord? Ah! As Xueqinghe was about to leave, he suddenly felt a wolf-like tiger gaze fall on him, his body stiffening for a moment, and then slowly turned back. Your Highness, you have also worked hard these past few days. I will let my concubines serve you now. Well, you just finished giving birth, isn't that good? Humph, Your Highness, you can't underestimate my concubine. Besides, the baby is quite lonely alone. Let's hurry up and give birth to a younger sister for him. Time flies, in a blink of an eye, half a month has passed. Over the past half month, all the concubines included in Xueqinghe a year ago have given birth to their offspring, and the system's rewards have also arrived as promised. But I don't know if the qi that entered the soul has been used up. The descendants of the past half month are all useless martial souls. Ding, congratulations to the host for having the second offspring of the abandoned martial soul. Reward. 100,000 gold soul coins. Ding, congratulations to the host for having the third abandoned martial soul offspring. Received a reward of 0.5 level increase in soul power. Ding, congratulations to the host. Reward obtained. Soul power enhancement item card *1, limited to use below Soul Lord. Ding, congratulations to the host for having the 51st abandoned martial soul offspring. Received a reward. Soul power increased by 1.5 levels. After pacifying all the concubines, Xueqinghe finally had time to check the rewards and wiped his sweat. He glanced at the system space and his face stiffened. These Nimas are all swan martial souls. Do you want them to be so outrageous? He glanced at the reward summary of the system. Soul power increased by 10 levels, 500,000 gold soul coins. Soul power increased by 1 item card, limited to use below Soul Lord. This reward is really useless. Xueqinghe's mouth twitched uncontrollably. A year ago. He has a total of 20 concubines, which is less than 30 in total. Now. Except for the somewhat rebellious maid Qian Renxue around him, all his concubines have already given birth to him, including twins and triplets. Of course, there are dedicated staff in the palace to take care of these things, and he doesn't need to worry at all. He just needs to go and take a look when he has time. But in terms of rewards, it seems too outrageous. Ding dong, congratulations on reaching level 70 of the host's soul power. However, since none of the host's martial souls have obtained the 5th soul ring, they are unable to increase their soul power. The soul power enhancement reward will be issued after the host obtains the soul ring. Unissued soul power level 20. Xueqinghe twitched at the corner of his mouth and said, "The reward for raising a descendant of a disabled martial soul is much worse than that for raising a non-disabled martial soul." His first heir, the eldest daughter born to him by Qiandao, is a non-disabled martial soul. He was directly given a 10-level increase in soul power, along with 10 item cards for soul power enhancement. But now sure enough, this concubine can't just rely on her appearance, but also on her martial soul quality. Once, Xueqinghe thought he was the emperor of Europe and had a high probability of being a thief, but he never expected him to be a little black man. Continue to look for father's emperor and accept my concubine's proposal. End of this chapter. In chapter 9, what you think of is me, and what I think of is the offspring of divine martial souls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In chapter 9, what you think of is me, and what I think of is the offspring of divine martial souls. What? You want to take a concubine again? In the Qiandao palace, the Snow Knight Emperor looked at the snow-clear river in front of him with a bewildered expression, his brain almost froze. No, Qinghe, how could you? You have a total of 30 concubines, why do you still have to take concubines? At this point, he raised his eyebrows and said with a slightly unfriendly gaze, "Is it difficult? Are you tired of the old and new?" The family upbringing of the Qiandao royal family is quite strict. If Xueqinghe really wants to do such a thing, the Snow Knight Emperor may not hesitate and will directly punish him. "Father, have you forgotten my original intention of taking a concubine before?" But Xueqinghe is not because he likes the new and dislikes the old, but it is impossible to tell the Snow Knight Emperor about the system, right? So, he immediately began to deceive again. The original intention. The Snow Knight Emperor was stunned for a moment before realizing the reason. Are you saying? He was truly crippled by Xueqinghe before, and wanted to give birth to super-powerful soul masters such as Soul Douluo and Title Douluo that belonged to the royal family. Therefore, he asked Xueqinghe to take a concubine, hoping that there would be talented individuals among his descendants. That's right, the things I've accepted now are just ordinary peoples, it's difficult to produce high-quality mutated martial souls. Xueqinghe hesitated for a moment and said, "So, I hope that my father can accept those concubines with good martial soul qualities for me this time. In this way, our Xue family will have even greater opportunities to create our own Soul Douluo and Title Douluo." With a flurry of deception, the Snow Knight Emperor was truly half crippled, almost about to agree. But Empress Ziyun on one side was not suddenly crippled. She frowned lightly and looked at Xueqinghe. "Qinghe, you kids have just been born. How do you know their martial soul qualities? Perhaps among them, there may be a soul master with benign mutations. Moreover, you have almost 30 concubines here. After they have cultivated themselves, you can continue to have children. Why do you have to take concubines again?" The Snowy Knight Emperor also suddenly woke up and nodded, asking, "Yes, Qinghe, you have about 30 concubines that are enough to have children. There must be a few offspring with extraordinary talents, so there is no need to take concubines anymore." "Father, mother." Xueqinghe looked serious and continued to deceive. "The martial souls of our Xue family are swans, not very strong, and the martial soul quality of these concubines is not high, so it is difficult to have two strong martial souls. Even if there is none among them, and it may not be possible. While my son is still young, I can take more concubines to add blood to the royal family. Among so many descendants, if we can produce a Title Douluo, it can protect our Xue family for 100 years, if we produce 10. Upon hearing this, the Snowy Knight Emperor's breathing became rapid and he was completely crippled by the large pancake painted by Snowy Qinghe. "Okay. Father, I will arrange it now. It's really hard for you, child. No problem, for the rise of the Xue family, it is my duty not to refuse." After speaking, Xueqinghe muttered to himself, "If it weren't for the age of the female protagonists in the original work, and I don't know any nobles, where would I need to draw a pancake for Snow Knight? Calculate the timeline he is currently on. To be honest, Tang San hasn't even awakened his martial soul yet. Can he find a group of people who haven't even grown hair? Return to the Crown Prince's mansion. As soon as Xueqinghe sat down, he saw the obedient Qian Renxue carrying tea for thousands of miles. Your Highness, this is freshly brewed black tea, your favorite, he said upon hearing these words. Xueqinghe smiled slightly and suddenly picked up Qian Renxue, raising her chin with one hand. Xiao Shui, your Highness loves you the most. At the moment of seeing Qianren snow, Xueqinghe River's mind suddenly flashed with a flash of inspiration. Isn't the high-quality quantum offspring he pursues here? Why is this called putting the cart before the horse, going to Qiandao city to find ordinary nobles? If a row of 6-winged angel martial souls were born. Thinking of this, Xueqinghe's eyes straightened. A non-disabled descendant of a martial soul can give him level 10 soul power. What if there are a row of divine martial souls? Hush. I dare not think, it's too exciting. And at this moment. After hearing Xueqinghe's words, Qian Renshue's face turned red and she silently said, if you really like me, then tell me your second martial soul, for secrets of 100,000 years. I'm not sure, if you contribute this secret, Grandpa will allow it. It's also tragic. She has tried countless times this year to ask Xueqinghe about his second soul ring, as well as the origins of these 4 100,000-year soul rings. She even risked her body to feed a tiger and searched the entire Crown Prince's mansion. But still achieved nothing. But she still doesn't give up. In her opinion, the way to obtain these 100,000-year soul rings is more valuable than her usurpation. She didn't know. The dog man in front of her is already thinking about how to make her little concubine give birth to the same 6-winged angel. Your Highness, Your Highness, this is still daylight. It's okay, there's no one at the Crown Prince's mansion. After it's over, I'll tell you a secret. The tone of Xueqinghe's voice was like a strange millet deceiving Xiaolulai. Seeing it, Qian Renxue was full of vigilance and said, don't scare me. Take a look, what about trust between people? It's not excessive for me to offer you some benefits after serving me so tirelessly for 6 years, right? Upon hearing this, Qian Renxue was skeptical, but considering the performance of Xueqinghe 5 years ago, the original body of Xueqinghe in the original work, he still chose to believe him. Immediately, she blushed slightly and snorted, Your Highness, Xuer is only for her own labor reward, not because she likes you. Don't misunderstand. Yes, everything you said is right. And that, please be gentle. Pinching Xuer's face hurt so much. In an hour. Your Highness, please don't. Stop. Xuer is so tired. First, let Xuer rest for a while. What are you resting for? Xueqinghe smiled slightly and took out the remaining soul power enhancement item card from the past year. For the sake of your loyal service to the Crown Prince this year, I have given you it for free, he said in an instant. Qian Renxue only felt the exhaustion all over her body, even including mental exhaustion, all dissipated in this moment. Even her soul power, which had been stagnant due to her hard work in serving the Xueqinghe River this year, was also surging upwards at this moment, as if reaching the top. How do I feel? At this moment, she had an ethereal feeling, as if entering a fairyland, with an indescribable refreshing sensation in her whole being. At this moment, her 39-level soul power was wildly expanding, and in the blink of an eye, it broke through the 40-level barrier. However, due to the lack of soul rings, all of her experience bars seemed to be blocked by Mount Everest, abruptly stopping and improving. There must be a big secret on this Xueqinghe River. If I could obtain this secret, I would definitely surprise that woman, she said with a gleam in her eyes, even. Snatch back the martial soul hall that originally belonged to me from her hands. Where could she have imagined that the snow-clear river at this moment was filled with thoughts of the offspring of divine martial souls? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Seeing the lonely goose for the first time, the little butterfly deviates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Seeing the lonely goose for the first time, the little butterfly deviates, Prince Brother. Xueqinghe walked out of the mansion with a refreshing air. Just as he walked out of the door, he saw a little lowly pounce and then look up, sweetly shouting. Xiaoke, ah! The little girl in her arms is the youngest fifth sister, Xueqinghe. She is also the youngest descendant of Xiaoyulai and the Snow Knight Emperor. However, she does not like the other three brothers, only the Crown Prince's brother, Xueqinghe. Due to the suppression of Qian Renxue by Xueqinghe River, which was unsuccessful in usurping it, neither the second prince nor the third prince died. The entire palace was not as panicked as in the original work, and it is probably because of this that Xueqinghe developed this lively personality. Did you listen to my mother's words today? Speaking of which, Xueqinghe pouted her lips and looked unhappy. Crown Prince, you don't know, even the Queen Mother is ignoring me now. She was originally the youngest, able to enjoy the love of the Snow Knight Emperor and the Purple Cloud Empress carefree. But now, even smaller ones have appeared, and her privilege seems to have been revoked. Only maids and maids serve her, and the mother who used to love her has disappeared. She didn't know that now Empress Xian was looking at a large number of grandchildren, but she couldn't close her mouth with joy. With nothing to do, she directly went to take them with her. How could she care about Xueqinghe, this little lowly? Of course, she cannot take care of herself alone. Therefore, many of Xueqinghe's concubines did not miss this opportunity to establish a good relationship with their mother-in-law. That's why Xueqinghe is really bored to the bottom. After running to find her mother, she was also neglected, and she can only have the best relationship with the Crown Prince's brother. Upon hearing Xueqinghe's words, Xueqinghe awkwardly touched his nose, blaming me. But fortunately, with Sister Douluo accompanying me, I don't want my mother, humph. Upon hearing these words, Xueqinghe was immediately taken aback. Sister Douluo. Surname Douluo. So just thinking about it, I saw a woman running over. After seeing that Xueqinghe was okay, she breathed a sigh of relief and said, Xiaoke, why are you running so fast? I thought you were abducted. Hehe, with the presence of the Crown Prince's brother, I wouldn't have been abducted. Xueqinghe smiled and hugged Xueqinghe's neck, his whole body hanging on him like a tree bag, saying, Prince, this is Sister Douluo. Sister Douluo is really amazing. She is a student of the Qiandao Royal Academy and is already a great soul master. Douluo Yen. Xueqinghe looked at the woman in front of him with a somewhat surprised expression. Her hair, eyebrows, and pupils were all light blue, and she exuded a strange charm all over her body. Her appearance may not be particularly stunning, but it seems to have an inexplicable magic, with a deadly temptation. Is this the Douluo Yen from his youth? Remember Xueqinghe River? In the original work, Douluo Yen only appeared at the age of 21. At that time, she had short purple hair instead of the light blue hair she has now. I think it was Douluo Bo who found some ways to alleviate the toxins brought by the blue phosphorus snake on Douluo Yan's body. After all of Douluo Bo's sons died from this snake venom. Without any means, even Douluo Yen would have died prematurely like his father. The Crown Prince. Douluo Yen was momentarily taken aback, then seemed to have thought of something. He covered his mouth and exclaimed in surprise, You are the Crown Prince who took in almost 30 concubines a year ago. Xueqinghe. A year ago, the almost month-long concubine-taking ceremony in Xueqinghe shook the entire Qiandao Empire, and even many people were shocked. Is this still the elegant and gentle Crown Prince they know? On the other hand, in the aspect of the martial soul hall, some high-level officials believe that this is a signal of Qian Renxue's successful usurpation of the throne. It is said that after hearing this news, Qiandao also felt relieved and went to seclusion. Ah! Xueqinghe touched his nose slightly unnaturally and said, "It's natural for a man to get married." He never expected that he would be so famous. "Wow, Prince Brother, you're amazing." Upon hearing these words, Xueqinghe immediately opened her mouth and looked at Xueqinghe in amazement, as if saying, "You are truly my Prince Brother, so amazing. Indeed powerful." Dugu Yan also agreed with Xueqinghe's words. How could a normal person accept almost 30 concubines in one breath and become a groom every day for almost a month? "I don't have any skills, I'm afraid I'll have to lie in bed and become a patient." Xueqinghe. Dugu Yan turned to this sensitive topic for her, a big yellow flower girl, and said, "Xueqinghe, I'll go hunting in the forest. You stay here with the crown prince and be obedient, you know. She is already a level 30 soul lord, but she doesn't have a third soul ring yet. Coincidentally, her grandfather is back this time, and she doesn't want to miss this opportunity. Goodbye, Sister Dugu." Xueqinghe held Xueqinghe tightly and didn't want to let go at all. She smiled and waved goodbye. Watching Dugu Yan leave, Xueqinghe couldn't help but think of the soul ring he had not obtained in a year. After some thought, he still didn't plan to go together. The martial souls with 4 100,000-year soul rings are a bit terrifying. Besides, if I go hunting soul rings with you, my swan martial soul will absorb the second soul ring and immediately become level 29 soul power. It's really hard to explain. With this in mind, Xueqinghe looked at the palace again and murmured, "I hope what father found this time is a bit reasonable, right?" Of course, the concubines he had previously taken in, Xueqinghe, did not allow them to be idle, so as not to let this group of aristocrats create any palace intrigue for him. However, after waiting for a month, Xueqinghe's long-awaited concubine did not arrive, but instead received another heavy news. The Star Luo Empire has sent troops. Qinghe, a kingdom called Arist on the border of the empire, has been captured by the Star Empire. If nothing unexpected happens next, the Star Empire will further expand their power. In the Heavenly Do Palace, the Snow Knight Emperor looked at the snow-clear river and said in a deep voice, "But regarding the occupation of the Star Luo Empire, the attitude of the Martial Soul Hall located not far away is ambiguous, and he doesn't want to interfere with such things." As he spoke, he handed the memorial on the desk to Xueqinghe and said, "What do you think of this matter? Father, what is their attitude towards the three ancestors' side?" After taking a glance at these memorials, Xueqinghe pondered for a moment and immediately asked. The Seven Treasures Glass Sect and the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family stated that this is a matter between empires and has nothing to do with them. Speaking of which, the Snow Knight Emperor's face was gloomy, with a hint of gritting his teeth. This time, the Star Luo Empire suddenly took over a kingdom under the Heavenly Do Empire like a lightning battle, which he completely did not anticipate. And the attitude of these three sects was even more unexpected to him. As for a few years ago, Haotian sect, which had already closed its mountain gate, could no longer be contacted at all. Unable to contact. Upon hearing these words, Xueqinghe frowned. Isn't there a Tang Yuehua in the Imperial Academy of Do Royal on this day? Why can't we get in touch? Just as he was about to speak. Suddenly. End of this chapter.